Hey, 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 it's Tia, baby. And I am back with another video. So, this is a request video from a supporter of mine. If you hear banging or anything like that, it's the annoying neighbors upstairs. So, please excuse any off the wall noise. Can't do nothing about it, obviously. So, this is a request video from a supporter. She asked me to do, I'm assuming it's a she, it may not be, I don't know, because they don't have their own pictures. Most of the supporters use the Selena figurine or picture of Selena as their profile. So I'm not sure if it's a female or male, but I was asked by, I think, two supporters that wanted me to do this video. Well, I know one of the supporters is a female, but I'm not sure about the other one. But so yeah, this video is probably gonna more than likely be a short video because there isn't a lot of information. There isn't any information basically on the person that I'm about to talk about. So as you can see by the title, well, not even the title, as you can see by the picture, the thumbnail, that I'm going to talk about Selena's marriage versus Suzette's marriage and how Abraham comes in to play with this. So, as we all know, Abraham was not a great fan of Selena's marriage to Chris. I've talked about that in numerous of videos over the past month. My very first video, I talked about him a year ago, no, maybe 2 years ago, but I went into detail with his hatred, in my opinion, about Chris. So we all know that Abraham was pretty much not accepting of Chris and Selena's union. He was very much upset even before they got married. He was very much upset about finding out that they were in a relationship because he felt allegedly that Chris was going to change the dynamic, that he was going to convince her to, not become a singer, or that was going to come between her career and stuff, when that wasn't the case at all. He admired her music. He admired her as an artist and as a person. He didn't fall in love with the artist. He stated he fell in love with the person. So that wasn't even in his MO. He wasn't out to get her money. He wasn't. But of course, that's what allegedly Abraham thought, that, he was out to, control everything, get only with her for the money and the fame, and was going to come between her and her career. And he did everything possible to try to sabotage their relationship. Even when they got married, he had no choice but to accept it. But you can tell in his behavior and his demeanor that he still didn't like the fact that they, eloped, of course, but didn't like the fact that they were together. He would show up at their house unannounced, causing issues with Selena about the boutique, about him disagreeing that she should put out a boutique because it was too much on her, when it probably was, but that's something that she wanted to do. Not saying that she didn't want to become a singer, but that was more of Abraham's dreams, not Selena's dreams. but she grew to love it after, you know, it was getting attention and exposure and putting money, food on the table and stuff. She grew to love it. But that was initially Abraham's dream. Her dream was the fashion world, which she succeeded in, you know, having her own boutique, not only in Corpus, San Antonio, and she was getting ready to open up one in Monterrey in Mexico. So it was expanding, you know, locally, but, you know, if she was still living, and, you know, I believe it probably would have grew in other areas as well. So, yeah. He would constantly go over their house unannounced, causing mayhem, causing her to have nervous breakdowns, you know, by crying a lot excessively and just being annoying. The housing dynamic was Abraham and Marcella was in the big house in the middle, and then not Suzette, Selena and Chris was on one side, and A.B. and his first wife and his kids was on the other side. So Suzette and her husband did not even live in that facility. I don't know where they lived, but they wasn't in that neighborhood. They wasn't living in those quadrants. Like, so I don't know if Abraham would, you know, do the same things that he was doing with Selena. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Maybe Suzette was onto something. Maybe she was like, maybe that's why they never lived over there, because maybe she knew that he would be in their business and stuff. So I don't know, because there's not a lot of information about their marriage. The only thing that I know is his name is Bill Arrega, or William. I know Bill is short for William, but I'm not sure if William is his actual name, but I know his name is Bill. He's born around in the 60s, so he's probably about the same age as Suzette. They got married in 93. I have a few pictures. I will post a few pictures of their wedding day on this video. And of course it's going to be all smiles because it's a wedding. They're getting married. So Selena is one of the bridesmaids. Chris was not in the wedding. At first I was kind of skeptical. I was like, why he wasn't in the wedding? That's his sister's whole husband. Like, come on. But you know, getting to know how the wedding party works, usually by tradition, the groom will choose his people to be on the groomsmen's side. So maybe like his closest friends and like siblings, or, you know, cousins or stuff, male cousins, they will be on his side first, and maybe one or two if the bride had a brother or so. Well, I don't know if AB was a groomsman, because I didn't see a complete wedding party picture. And I only saw one picture of Abraham in the wedding, and of course he looked happy. So, but then you got to think about it. I don't really believe Abraham treated Suzette and her husband, you know, the same as he treated Chris and Selena. Because Suzette is much older than Selena. Suzette was born in 67. So she was already in her 30s in the 90s. Even though she was still in her late 20s or mid 20s when she married him. But she was a lot older than Selena. 2, Suzette wasn't in the limelight. She wasn't the forefront. She wasn't the superstar. She was a drummer. Not saying that she was less than. She just wasn't in the forefront. Selena was, and that's who his main focus was, Selena. Because at the end of the day, you can replace a drummer if necessary. Not saying that that's what his mind frame, but it's more easier to replace a drummer, not the actual performer, the singer, because there's not a lot of people that have that niche that Selena has. So it will be a huge shoes to fill to do stuff like that. So his main focus was Selena. So anything or anybody that comes in between Selena, he has an issue with, especially if he feel like it's going to threaten her career. Because if he feels that way, then of course he's going to fear that it's going to threaten his pockets. Because every time Selena performs, it puts more money in his pocket. So of course he's just looking out for that bag, because it was nothing abnormal about Chris that he needs to like watch out for, in terms of her safety or anything. It was nothing he did that would trigger Abraham to think that he was up to no good. Now, another reason why I feel like Abraham was more accepting of Suzette and Bill's marriage versus Selena and Chris, because there isn't any information about him. I think if I knew people that knew him, maybe I'll have more information, but he wasn't in all that stardom stuff. I ain't gonna say mess, but it seemed like he lived a normal life. Like he wasn't on the road or anything. He wasn't in the band, so there was no threat or nothing. Versus Chris was in the band. He was an aspiring musician before he even got with their band. So he probably felt more threatened with Chris being with Selena than Bill being with Suzette, because Chris was in the band. He was, a guitarist. Bill was not. He was an average Joe. Like, he was just an average person raising their family, being a father. Because they didn't become parents until 98. They are parents to a son named Javon. He was born in 98, so he's about 22 or should be turning 22. So, yeah. That's the only child they had between each other. I thought that the children that I've seen Suzette and Selena with were her kids, but actually they were AB's kids. So I didn't know that Suzette only had a son. So, yeah, she didn't become a parent until after Selena passed. So, like I said, it was nothing he did or that I know of that he did to make Abraham feel like he had to come between their marriage or whatever. Not saying that he didn't. He may have one of these days back in the day, or because we never know what Abraham is up to. So I don't know, but from my observations, there is not much on him. He's actually an attractive guy. I didn't even expect him to be attractive. The person that I had in mind was somebody that kind of looked like Abraham, but not Abraham. I just didn't picture him. But he's not that bad looking at all. There is a picture of him, Suzette, and Jennifer Lopez and A-Rod, and he is a big fan of A-Rod. I read an article about that picture that they took together, and I guess they heard that he was a huge fan of A-Rod. So her husband and Suzette and Jennifer called over Suzette's husband to take a picture with A-Rod because he was such a huge fan of him. So, yeah, he just seemed like an average person that just stays out of the limelight. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not really much to talk about with that. There is no comparison. He just didn't trust Chris for whatever reason. He trusted the wrong person, which was Yolanda. And I said before, all of this could have been prevented had he called the police to arrest her the moment he found out she was stealing money from from the boutique, or from the boutique, from the fan club. Because that is, of course, embezzlement, and embezzlement is a crime. And why I know it's a crime, because I actually looked at a recent interview of the comedian Lunel, who is one of the original queens of comedy.
Absolutely. Okay, when I went to jail, I was the one who would write letters for, man. Embezzlement. Embezzlement. Yeah, explain embezzlement to the people. Oh Lord. Yeah, your cameraman had phone on. It, man. Don't worry, he fired. Don't worry about it. So, explain embezzlement to embezzlement is, stealing from one's job, And where you work? I worked at the bank. Oh, shit. I was that bitch. Oh, shit, man. Come on. I was the bitch every motherfucker wanted. You did your motherfucking thing. They're like, bitch, let's do this paper chase. Let's get this thing. You did your thing, Lunel. And I did that, so I took some money. You did your thing, man. Fuck that shit, man. Fuck that shit. How much time you do? 4 months, 18 days. That's all? Yeah, on the 1 year bill. You got the fuck off. They didn't give me a year. I know. You got the fuck off, Lunel. And I got away with it for over 10 years. Man, you got the fuck off, Lunel. If it hadn't been so much, I'd have got away with it at all. Period. You dig what I'm saying? Hey, man, shout out to you, the real G, one of the real G's in this motherfucker who goddamn made away scot-free, man, with the government's money. Don't say that too loud. I got to say it. Because I did my time and I paid my debt to society. You paid your debt to society and you came out and then you made your own money. And I'm paying my fucking income taxes too. And
she actually was, before she became a comedian, she used to work at a bank. And she said in the interview with T.I. that she was locked up because she stole money from her job, and that is called embezzlement. But she got out early because she, I guess on good behavior or something. But yeah, she explained in the interview that she did that, and that when she told him about that, it made me think of Yolanda, because I'm like, damn, all of that could have been prevented if he would have just called the police on her right then and there. But he let her go, which was odd to me, because for one, she stole money that you so aggressively addicted to, that you did not get her locked up. Why not? You let her go. You let a criminal go free, because that is a crime. And yes, he knew. You know what? I'm not going to go more. I'm not going to go more into detail with that, because that's going to be on another video. So I just said that part, but I'm not going to continue the Yolanda thing. I'm going to wait next week to talk about something else that had something to do with Yolanda, but I'm going to wait till next week on that. But yeah, the marriage thing, the marriage comparison, there is no comparison. Suzette's husband just lived a normal life. He stayed out of the way. That's probably why he was more accepting of their marriage versus Selena and Chris, because Chris was in the limelight. He was in the business with them. So he probably always felt like threatened and felt like he was going to come between Selena and her career and all of that, and probably mess up his pockets, versus, Bill. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Like I said, I'll share some pictures that I've seen on the internet, which I'm sure you probably already seen before, but just to, bring you back to the memories of, that day that Suzette and Bill got married, and there are a lot of pictures in that wedding of Selena, whatever. And also, I also shared on my IG that Selena's dress is very, very much similar, or the same dress that my mom wore in my godmother's wedding back in the 90s. And my mother was a bridesmaid for that wedding, and they wore the exact same. It looks like the exact same dress, because it's like off the shoulder white dress, and it was like a skirt, like a fitted skirt, and then it had like not a veil, what is that, a train in the back that you can cut, that covers, that kind of like a sheer train that covers the skirt, that make it look like a dress, but it's actually a skirt. Yeah, stuff like that. So it looks similar. So if you are on IG and you follow me, you will see it, because I'm not posting that on YouTube. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, favorite, and I will get back with you to another video next week.